we will put a link on, Chuck will put it on his feed, put it on our feed so that people have access to it. But Chuck, do we think, I'm comfortable telling our clients that they don't have to be in at 12:01 tonight?
Well, let's before we do that, remember, this is from USCIS. I have not seen the memo from Rubio. I've not seen the memo from CBP. So, we're going to find out in about 7 hours, 6 hours.
The only thing that makes me comfortable, and I agree that, you can't trust these folks, but this news was originating out of the White House today, not USCIS. So my guess is that the marching orders have gone to the different agencies from the White House about this. Could be wrong, but what we want you guys to do is to don't tell us that you made you had no problems. Well, some of you can tell us that, but
I would love to know if you didn't have a problem. Really?
Right. We don't need to hear from every single person that you didn't have a problem. We just need to know, we'll hear a little bit, from people, but I'm more interested in people that have problems on there, whether the message really came through to CBP, whether and then also Monday, Tuesday, when people start to have at the consulates around the world start having appointments, whether they're getting hassled or not, getting H-1B visas over the next couple of days. Chuck, what else are we looking for? Is that it?
Well, keep in mind who this proclamation does apply to. It still does apply to some people.
Right.
And honestly, the way they've written this, the way Edlow wrote this, doesn't make sense when you read the proclamation's actual words.
It's clearly there's some serious backtracking that's happened here because
this is either the world's worst drafting job or intentionally vague and confusing. But as it's written, Greg, it appears to only impact going forward nonprofits, or what we call cap exempt people, right? And you think of a nonprofit, you think of like the YMCA, but universities are the biggest users of cap exempt, and they will have the immediate problems. I mean, within a few days, within a couple of weeks of filed applications. Imagine the lawyer sitting at his desk thinking, "Yeah, I'll get that H-1B application out to the university on Monday." And now, where's your $100,000 fee?
Right. So it says. So it says on here, I'm just reading this way everybody else is, but it doesn't apply to people who are the beneficiaries of petitions filed before the effective date at midnight tonight. So that's fairly obvious who that means. If you had an I-129 that was filed already, you're safe. You have to be you're the beneficiary of a currently approved petition, similar, or in possession of a validly issued H-1B non-immigrant visa, which is also obvious if you already have that. What about people who are in the process of, they no longer have a validly issued visa and they're dependent on a new petition? Like their visa's expired. They are filing for an extension, but it's not filed yet. They were going to be filing in the next month or two. Like, what about those people?
Changes of employer. I mean, it just doesn't mention anything. This is written on a Saturday afternoon while Edlow's at the park or something. I mean, it's helpful in that they're rewriting what the president wrote to our client, many of our clients' benefits, suggesting that if you're outside the U.S. and you got your valid visa, get on a plane, you can come. But it doesn't really any other real questions here, but it also, Greg, go to the heart of the matter. Does the president have authority to do this? I mean, who it impacts today as opposed to 2 weeks from now becomes a little less relevant in 2 weeks, when you have to ask, what authority does the president of the United States have to make up a fee? And it's really extortive in its timing and its amount. Does he have authority? The answer to that question, Greg, is no. I mean, for a variety of reasons, he doesn't have it. So for folks that are in this situation, you have university employers, we're going to need a couple more plaintiffs, aren't we, Greg?
Yeah, so let's talk about the litigation strategy. So we've been working since last night. Chuck was up pretty late and did a amazing job with and on getting a pretty great a first draft of a complaint and the TRO motion, and John and I and several others, and really there's a massive number of lawyers that have been contributing in one way or another to what we're working
Massive.
on. You wouldn't believe it.
Massive.
Anyway, we've been trying to identify plaintiffs, but now we had a meeting just before this, and sort of we're changing up our strategy a little bit right now because of this memo. For first off, that a lot of the plaintiffs that we were going to be including are not going to be suffering immediate harm. They may have harm later on, but they're not going to be harmed in the next couple of days, which is what the point of a temporary restraining order is. You have to show that the harm is coming pretty immediately. That is not to say there are not people that are going to be suffering harm really soon as a result of the proclamation. But as Chuck mentioned, the cap exempts are the first that are going to feel the brunt of this proclamation, because they're not on the same cycle that the cap subjects are. So most of the cap subject folks filed in the lottery, and they are not, their H-1Bs are not going to be affected. The ones that were planning on coming in October 1st. Keep in mind, this whole point of this memo and the timing of it was to screw over the past year's lottery winners, because that 10 days doesn't start until what, 12:30 12:30 tonight.
There's a weird thing with that, right? But it was clearly timed. The intent was definitely to go after this year's lottery winners. They're backtracking.
That tells you this is all a lie. If they say that we always meant it this way, they clearly didn't mean it this way, because they timed this whole thing to make sure that the people who had October 1st visas were not coming in. So that's why this is already a win. And this is a win in, I think, in a lot of respects, where litigation's announced and a lot of employers complained and called the White House, and there's sort of a ton of advocacy that's been happening, and the beneficiaries of H-1B visas have been talking to reporters, and it's been great. So there's been this backtracking, but we're going to be focusing now with the temporary restraining order on people that are going to be harmed, that are going to be basically people that are going to be filing their H-1Bs as of tomorrow and the next couple of weeks on there. As far as individual plaintiffs. So that's as far as the plaintiffs that we need. Now our focus is going to be on people that after today are going to be filing their H-1B petitions, and now are going to be subject and not able to come in. We're not needing for plaintiffs we might need plaintiffs, but we're not going to be focusing on them for the temporary restraining order. People that are not going to be barred from coming in now. We're going to be working with associations that represent folks that sort of have this bigger picture issue about what's going to be happening over the next several months for H-1Bs, and employers that are filing H-1Bs year round. We still want to have them, because they can't plan what they're going to be doing. So we're going to proceed. We are not going to be filing this case today, which is what our original.
We were going to file it this evening.
Yes.
But now we're holding off.
Right. So we're holding off because essentially all these people were depending on us. That we're going to be coming in tomorrow and the next day and the next day. They will be able to come in. So the immediate concerns for all of these folks, that reason why we needed to file it by today, in order to hopefully stop, have no more than maybe a day or two where this was in effect. That's not going to be as much of a concern, because if you're filing an H-1B tomorrow, for example, which is the first people to be affected by this, your H-1B is going to take a couple of weeks. Getting a consular appointment is going to take a couple of weeks. So we really have a little bit more time, and we don't have to do a massive rush to get this complaint the way we want it, get the right plaintiffs in there and all that. So That's also why we wanted to do this, is give people the update that we are changing up a bit of who the focus is going to be for the temporary restraining order. We are still going to have our complaint covering all of you, because but this immediate relief from the temporary restraining order, you have to show your harm is immediate. And now that a lot of you are not going to be harmed. With that being said, and I'm just looking at Chuck at our text that Aaron was, saying we don't have any guidance, all that. We'll change our policy again if it looks like these other two agencies, CBP and Department of State, are somehow going to go a different path than USCIS. We don't think they will, but if that does happen, that's why we're depending on you guys that are listening on it to let us know if you're getting reports that these other two agencies, the consulates, the Department of State, and the border officers at the ports of entry at the airports, if they're not acting consistently with this memo that I have on the screen, we need to hear that, because that will change our strategy back to what it was before. And we will seek a TRO for all of you, and we will file this faster than we might if in fact that's happening. So that being said, we have some questions.
Yeah, there's some actually really good questions here, Greg, that I think we should answer.
Tell me which ones you want me to put up first, Chuck.
I think the first one, Shan Sid, just whether we're going to litigate this. I mean, this is a good question. There is no doubt in my mind.
This is not.
Yeah, there's no doubt in my mind that this memo from EDLO would not have been issued if they had not received information that we were going to sue them. Mm-hmm. There's no doubt about this. This is backtracking at its very, very best. And again, what he says here is not what the proclamation says. It's not. You can read it yourself. It clearly applies to everybody entering the United States after September 21 on 2025. It just does. So now that they're limiting it to basically universities, and Greg and I talked before about the attack on the universities, we're going to really be looking to move forward with this. What I do love, though, is the number of people that have reached out when Greg and I floated this idea. And Greg was really the brainchild of this. I'm not kidding you. There are probably 100 lawyers working on this at this very moment, on this one piece of litigation at this moment. And it's really been remarkable that the American Immigration Lawyers Association has brought this to bear. And there's a number of folks out there at the Immigrant Justice Center and at other organizations that are saying, we want to litigate, we want to be with you. And just understand, you have people behind you. This is you. If you're on an H, or you're going to be on an H, you've got people behind you. So yes, we will litigate.
All right. So we had a question about where this could be found. I am going to put in the take a screenshot of this.
It's just one page.
I don't know where this is on the USCIS website. Elisa sent this to us on our Teams channel. So
I can't imagine this is on their website yet. I imagine it probably released to certain stakeholders, like Ayla probably got it, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, well, all of you, if you go to that link, I've just uploaded the document, I think.
But Greg, do mention the irony of this particular document and Mr. Edlo's signature, because it's just...
Yeah, we were joking about that. It's an e-signature using Adobe Sign, it looks like, on here. And that, if your immigration lawyer signs your petitions, or the G28 rather, the same way, your case will be.
Or you sign your forms this way, it'll be rejected.
You're not allowed to do it. He's allowed to do it on there, because apparently nobody else is trustworthy to use the software correctly but him.
Except for the government. Hey, put up Horatio Kane's a little question, because it's not a question; it's more of a comment.
Yeah, I'll put this.
I think it's an important note.
Where is he?
He's number 3. He's right after Shan, right up top, 614.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So how did they get to this number? We know, because Lutnick said. Lutnick has got the biggest mouth in the world. and some of the quotes out of him about this are actually in our complaint because they're so helpful to us. Basically, they wanted to put a 500,000 on it, but that was too much because they supposedly work with stakeholders, employers. A little unclear who that is. Did Microsoft really know? I don't know, but 100,000 was okay, and that's how they came to it. There's no impact study. There's nothing that the law requires was done that was to be done when setting a fee or a fine or donation or whatever this health thing is called was followed. It just literally pulled it out of their butts. That's
by the way, Chuck. So it is not addressed in here, but one of the things that is in this tweet that came from Caroline Levitt from the White House said that their plan is only to charge the $100,000 one. So everybody's off the hook that they're not going to be charging it every year, which was what Lutnick was hinting at.
He said $300,000.
$100,000. You might as well pick $100 million for most, especially the nonprofits and the universities and hospitals. Nobody's going to be paying that kind of money on there. But so what it's not in his memo though, which is interesting. Also, one of the issues that we were focusing on is just how, and the litigation is just how scammy and illegal the whole fund fee part of this is. And somebody, a former USCIS official who's hopefully going to that we may be using as an expert, was just explaining to us just how hard that would be to implement at the agency to even collect a fee of that kind of magnitude on there. I mean, that's that this is not something you just go to your credit card, which, by the way, everything has to be paid by credit card, I guess now.
Yeah, so how are you going to pay this fee? Nobody
has a $100,000 limit on their credit cards. But they would all have to be done through wire transfers and everything like that, because nobody's also going to be able to do it just with a plain old check.
Yeah, and I want to just think, where did this come from, right? This is the war on H-1Bs. It was in Project 2025. Go back and look. It's all there. They want to get rid of the H-1B. They just do. They want to get rid of the H-1B. And they see this as a way to reduce H-1Bs. And anybody who has done a legitimate study of these, as Greg, I, and Jonna have, would tell you H-1Bs create jobs.
Yeah.
Last time I saw it, 5 jobs for every H-1B visa holder. That's the promo.
We have an expert helping us on that issue.
We got the best expert. We only have the best experts. But this didn't come out of USCIS. There's no this came out of the White House. Stephen Miller, Gene Hamilton, Project 2025.
They had a press release almost immediately afterwards, which tells me that it was all done in coordination with them.
Oh, quite possibly. Possibly. The next question is really good, by the way, because it's looking forward. Okay, you are the person that Joe Edlow says is going to have to pay $100,000 fee.
Mm-hmm.
You are the man. So make sure you find an employer willing to write a $100,000 check over and above. That's almost as much as the lawyer fees to file for an H-1B.
Well, Chuck, what I also wonder is, for a lot of people right now that, are in this situation, whether employers are just going to revoke job offers.
Oh, what you're going to say? Go abroad. I can pay you your salary abroad and go work there.
Right. So if you're worried about that, means we should probably be thinking about having a declaration from you and having you as a plaintiff. Right. If you're worried about that, we may not be asking for the TRO. I mean, that is a group, Chuck.
No, that's a TRO. I mean, maybe we don't get a TRO, we get it in a break. But Jonna, how can we add Moot the cat? How can we get his information, her information?
Absolutely. So
I'm going to add something for that on here, Jonna. Make it easy for you. I'm going to put your
Are you guys able to hear me okay?
We hear you. Yeah, I'm putting Jonna's email address because
I was about to say,
we were we're going so fast. We don't have time to automate the app, so we're doing it back the old-fashioned way with email.
Old-fashioned email. So you can reach out to me. I will share a series of documents to complete. So interested plaintiffs can be hospital systems, like the employer company themselves. It can be an association. It can be individuals who are impacted. So we have a wide variety, and we want a wide variety of plaintiffs so that we can include and cast a wide net in our lawsuit. I'm still looking at the questions.
Yeah,
exactly. And
we hadn't thought about that, but yeah, this is moot the cat. You got to sign up. Can't email Jonah.
All right. So this is the question about H extensions. So we actually were just talking about this also right beforehand, that this language here, going back to here does not, let me take this away. So it appears that people applying for extensions right now are not off the hook on their check, because it's a new petition. So it's not, and if you don't have a valid visa right now, if you're applying for an extension and you have a valid visa, which people do, then you're covered here.
So you're saying you can't change your employer either.
Right. Because it's not the same, it's not
the same currently approved petition. And again, maybe they'll get another memo out on Monday. But again, if you are in the process of filing a change of employer petition but haven't got it in yet, I think you're a potential plaintiff in this case.
Now, that being said, I think there's an argument to say that when it says this proclamation does not affect beneficiaries who currently hold approved petitions, maybe you don't. But I think that highlights there's a lot of ambiguity here. Like, thank you, USCIS, for issuing a memo, but not a lot of thanks, in the sense that the memo still is leaving, immigration attorneys stumped. So
honestly, they need to issue their own FAQ, which they've done, which they may be working on, because this is like 4 sentences. This doesn't clear up half the question. 80% of the questions probably people are going to have on here. So that is something to watch. We'll have more to say as we get more information. But for
Greg, we see this all the time with USCIS. We didn't used to see it, though. Back when they actually had liaison meetings with the immigration lawyers, they would call us and say, hey, we're going to do this. You have any questions? And we just say, here's 50 things you didn't think about. And they go, oh, yeah.
Well, I think they were also keeping this. The White House was keeping this secret from the agencies, from what the intelligence that we've been getting today, which also makes a lot of sense, because what they didn't want were people that were coming back into the country with getting, the news was leaking out that this was coming, and it would have been leaking out if they had told anybody at the agencies. Then their plan, which was to basically shock and awe and and not have anybody coming back in, wouldn't have worked. But the problem with that is that the agencies themselves have no idea. They're figuring it out at the same time we're figuring it out, as far as what they've suddenly been told. So, all right. So let's keep going. We have a question about somebody who's on an F1 visa gets selected in next year's lottery. So that is the issue that Chuck was just talking about, which is that this is just deferring the problem for folks. It's clearing up the immediate problem of people who are out of the country. It's not solving the problem for people that are going to be going through the lottery for the first time in April. Now, there is this thing that this order is only in effect for 12 months, and Chuck has mentioned it times, which is sort of
when's the last time the administration didn't extend a travel ban?
Yeah, we assume it's gonna stay for a while, but it is for, if you haven't, what I would suggest.
I'm kind of curious, Greg, why they did that. They must think there's a litigation advantage to only having it effective for a year. They must think somehow that's going to affect the judge to say, well, it's only for a year. I'm sure you'll be fine. But they've never ended a ban before, so I don't expect this.
Well, first off, why is there a ban here? I mean, there may be just they hate H-1Bs, which we know is the case with this administration. There is some speculation that it is that this is designed to get more concessions in trade negotiations with the Indian government. and my friend Leon Fresco pointed that out online last night on there. So I don't I mean, I have no idea how to verify that, but it seems like logical with this crew that might be like a negotiating tactic. And that's the case, then they don't really need it to go longer, and they might have been assuring the tech community that this is not a forever thing. And there was a big meeting a couple of days ago where almost all the big tech leaders were down. I don't know if they were at Mar-a-Lago or where they were, and they also did a similar meeting in London with the tech community. And I kind of think they probably must have talked a little bit about this, since it was just going to have such a massive impact on all of those companies within a couple of days. So maybe, Chuck, there's something, to do with that, where they're already messaging. My guess is, if I sort of had to envision, they were, the conversation was like, don't worry, we have this national interest exemption, and we're just going to apply it to your companies on there.
Yeah,
so
which goes to Shan Sid's question at 621. Look at Shan.
Okay.
This is actually, it's a great question. This whole national interest exemption, which is consistently been in Trump's travel bans, and consistently been utterly useless, consistently, because nothing is in the national interest if you don't think foreign nationals can contribute to the national interest. So, but I think he thinks they're going to, anybody in tech or anybody at Microsoft will be fine. Now that gets to equal protection at that point. That's clearly a violation of the Constitution. You can't treat one company differently from another company. You just can't. So, the reality is they're not going to exempt tech. They might exempt hospitals.
Yeah, I mean, so just for the doctor, and a lot of the doctors that are on know that I do that I do a lot of work with doctors, and John and our firm represent a lot of hospital systems. What happened? So COVID is the closest template to what we have for what we might see with doctors. And in that case, that the COVID travel ban was released in June, and doctors all come in for residency in July. And so there was this whole panic that all of a sudden all the residents and fellows, which is about a quarter of all the doctors in the country that are going into residency programs, are international medical grads, that they were not going to get here. And then what they ended up doing, then they actually opened up consulates. They changed a lot of the rules for doctors. Doctors generally are first in line when it comes to exemptions. And the reason for that is, fairly obvious. First of all, you're going, there's an overwhelmingly large number of doctors that are working in rural areas. And those hospitals and a lot of places where they're working are at risk of shutting down. If a doctor's not there, they lose their accreditation, the emergency room shuts down. Basically the whole hospital could collapse if a couple of doctors are suddenly taken out of the mix. So my guess is that's a very good national interest exemption, but it's not in there. We don't have any guidance or anything like that yet. So you don't take it for granted that it's coming. I think you prepare for an individual exemption, but Chuck, we still don't know how to apply for one.
No, well, keep in mind, we don't have the definition of NIE from the travel bans. There's nothing. The consular officer decides in his whim. That's literally what we got.
I'm putting up also Doug Russo, who's a good immigration lawyer in Nashville. This is where the memo is on the USCIS website. So it's
Thank you, Doug.
It's buried there somewhere, but it's if you take a screenshot of this, you'll see it. And hold on, I will take that off of there. So that's where to look. So thank you, Doug, for that. All right, Chuck, what's the next question you want to take?
Well, there's Gotham at 625. Gotham's a good question, because this is when you put that up, you'll see the answer to that question is, if you read Edlow's memo, who doesn't issue visas, by the way, you'd be fine, according to Edlow. Now, if Rubio issues a memo that says what Edlow said, you should be fine.
Right.
Should be. We don't know the answer to your question yet. That's the answer to your question.
So practically speaking, Chuck, if you were in Gotham's situation, what would you say? Travel or no travel? Exactly.
Yeah. Right. Even look, I don't trust these people even after all this stuff is there. Our advice has been since the beginning of this administration, only travel when necessary. And that advice is probably consistent with like 95% of the immigration lawyers that are telling their clients the same thing, because we know these announcements come on a Friday night without any warning.
I just knew last night something bad was happening. And then I came back from dinner and holy stink. 626. I think Iju's he actually says something really important here. Are you saying this is applies to university research coming? Yes, that's exactly what we're saying. Exactly.
Yes.
This is who it applies to. And you're probably thinking, why would they want to stop researchers and scientists from coming to the United States? And then you hear yourself go, oh, yeah, they don't want to hear it. We don't need no stinking science.
Well, I mean, just look at Harvard, for example, which is basically hanging on to being able to bring all their people based on the order of a judge on here. The administration would basically shut down one of the most important universities in the world because they just don't like the higher education system in the United States right now. So it is targeting universities that is par for the course.
Can you imagine how terrible their time in college must have been for the level of hate they have for colleges and universities? I mean, I know Trump he failed every class, but the rest of these guys I don't get.
Trump probably had a good time in college, I bet.
I bet you he had a great time. The days he was physically there. Athar Ali at 626 answers to two questions in one here. Companies file an extension next week. Do that pay? I don't think they do, according to Joe Edlow. I certainly wouldn't include a $100,000 check, but I think you're okay still.
You don't do it until they give you a very specific procedures for it.
Yeah, I think we'll get more information on Monday from these guys. So let's see. Next question here. Let's see. Andrew Wilson. Andrew Wilson's on here. Another fellow immigration lawyer. 6:30. Greg. I'm assuming national threat language support. Well, you have to read it. It's really interesting. It is a rehashing of all the negative stuff written for the last 30 years about H-1Bs, mostly from disaffected programmers who don't like the fact that they don't have a job because somebody more qualified came along.
Plus, this ban is on everybody in the H-1B category, not just like the programmers.
Right. And, so they hate it. They I don't know how, by the way, every year there's 85,000 new H-1Bs. And right now I think there's 650,000 people on H-1Bs in an economy of 175 million jobs.
Right.
Really? Whose job are they taking exactly? And how many jobs are they supporting? I'm really excited to get our experts' declaration on this because it will refute every one of these rehashed things. Yeah.
All right. Which one do you want next?
No, the next guy, 6:30, LinkedIn user, because I think maybe he popped in late, and I think a lot of people did, but I think this is the key, Greg.
Yeah. Currently on F1 STEM, my employer, a hospital, is currently preparing paper. Oh, you are, we contact John. You're who this we're focusing on with the temporary restraining orders. People that
we need you
file their H1, their I-129s. The ones that are filing it soon are the ones that we need now as our individual plaintiffs and our employer plaintiffs.
Meaning you are subject. So yes, join. And I think, Greg, you can put my email back in the banner. Better yet, go talk to your hospital and see if they are willing to join on behalf of you and all impacted physicians.
Tell them to support their doctors and do this.
Yeah. Greg, take a look at Andres Gonzalez at 632, because I want to mention something about this. You see him there? Yeah. So that's an opinion, right? But let me tell you, you know how I found out about this, Greg? Because yesterday I was working at my farm. I got a call from CNN International. Said, can you go on at 4:30 with Richard, I forget his name, who does their international broadcasts out of the UK, and talk about the new H-1B fee? And I thought, H-1B fee? That's how I found out. He was laughing about this. He said, this is He said, "This is a joke. How do you Americans just not want anybody to come anymore?"
Well, first off, we thought it was just going to be this bad policy of requiring $100,000 minimum salary for everybody, which obviously would be terrible for school teachers and for others. We assumed that the media was just, that was getting this news was reporting it wrong. And then we just realized we're the idiots.
Yeah. How did we not go to
we just assumed that it couldn't be anything this ridiculous, and that was our mistake for underestimating the craziness of what we're seeing. All right, Chuck, you got any more that you want?
There's a lot of them here, but let's see. I think we kind of, if you came in late, you'll be able to go online. I have this on YouTube. I think Gray's got it on YouTube.
It's also on the Impact YouTube.
And you can watch it there. Somebody said 642 CBP published their memo on Twitter. That literally must have just happened.
That's what I'm looking for now.
You can find that, Jana, on there and see what CBP said.
Sam, if you want to make a comment and put that in, that would be nice.
That would be great. That if you can post that link, that would be great. But yeah, a lot of these we've picked up on this already. Look at 645, because this reflects kind of a common problem. For Nathan Katil. Nathan Katil at 645 kind of said something really, I think, relevant. His question is really relevant to a lot of people. Greg, can you pull it up while John is searching for that?
Sorry, this one?
645, yes. So he was changing status. He doesn't, to my understanding of the memo, you got to pay a fee. You didn't have an H-1B before. I don't think it covers other fees. So I think it does impact you.
I'm looking at P, and they did not. Oh, here it is. Okay. Yes. All right. So I'm gonna save it, and I'm going to I'll post this
for us.
But I love the tweet. It's like that they claim that let's set the record straight. President Trump's updated H-1B requirement applies only to new. It's like, let's set the record straight, as if everybody else was.
As if we're idiots, right? You're stupid people.
Right. We were just saying exactly what was in the proclamation. That's sort of how.
You know what this reminds me of, Greg? This is these are not the droids you're looking for. That's what this is like, because I know what it says, but it doesn't mean that.
By the
Keep
way,
in mind, the proclamation actually has words in it. Take a look at 649, Greg, and Keith Shaw. I think he hits the nail on the head, because this is what Keith, I think you're right. They clearly meant to go after every H-1B. That's the proclamation. Absolutely 100% says that. That's why they put it in 10 days before people could get them, October 1, when people start coming in on their H-1B. There was no reason to do it otherwise on this day. So they clearly meant that. And they got caught with their hands in the cookie jar. And now they're having their minions go out and backtrack on this. But I'm going to tell you, we go to federal court and we will shortly, with the language of the proclamation. And the judge is going to ask, look, what you're saying this says, it doesn't say that. It doesn't say it. So however you want to interpret it, you could tomorrow change that, because that's what the proclamation says. So I think we've got a really good subject here for litigation. Again, especially if you are someone who, and Greg, you take that question down, especially if you are someone who needs to get an H-1B and you're under a cap exempt, or you're filing for a cap exempt right now, we need you as a plaintiff in this. And so again, email Jana at that email address, and she will send you a whole email full of stuff. We don't have the cool thing set up on Impact yet, because this is rolling way faster than we anticipated. But we definitely would like folks to come in and join this. And Greg, I think as I mentioned, we're not charging people for this at this point.
Yeah.
And not because we're
hopefully we're going to get a lot of help from the rest of the bar, so that'll make it easy for us to be able to keep it that way. But for certainly for a while, just to make sure that we get the relief people are wanting, we're not charging any plaintiffs who are signing up.
And this will likely be the first of many. What we're trying to do with our lawsuit is make it the template, because we're not filing a class action. Class actions it's just off the scale right now, difficulty. But we believe we can get a nationwide injunction, although they're disfavored, through what's called the Administrative Procedures Act, Section 702, where because this requires administrative procedures. And now what's great, John, I think you maybe help present this. These memos, these are the procedures. They're rulemaking by memo, rulemaking by tweet. So I think they're playing into our hands on making this something that a good judge can seize onto for us.
By the way, this is not exactly the same language as the USCIS memo. The main difference is there's something about the fees here that's not in the other memo. That's
Greg, you can share your screen using the share screen feature below, and pick that tab up because I would love to see it.
Yeah, no, it's on the screen now.
This is the CBP memo.
CBP memo.
Yeah, no, I did just find it.
Okay.
This is a screenshot, so it's not the clearest, but it's
Greg, it can't be valid. It's not even signed.
There you go. It's redacted on here, but it does say USCIS and DOS have been instructed to begin implementing the new monetary requirements for employers submitting petitions on behalf of aliens outside the U.S. So they are starting to try and figure out how to actually collect.
What did you say? Outside the U.S. submitting? So now it only applies to people who've never been in the United States?
Well, so let's read it together. It does not impact. The proclamation only applies prospectively to petitions that have not yet been filed. That's consistent with USCIS. It does not impact aliens who are the beneficiaries of currently approved petitions. That's the same. Any petitions filed prior to 12:01 a.m. Eastern time on September 21st, 2025. I don't know, John, if it said that in the other memo. If it said basically that if you can file a petition in the next couple hours, it's going to be exempt. Or aliens in possession of validly issued H-1B non-immigrant visas, which is consistent with the other one. Yeah. Then it says the part about the fee. The fee, they're working on the fee processing, and it says USCIS and DOS have been instructed to begin implementing the new fee requirements for employers submitting petitions on behalf of aliens outside the United States for new H-1B petitions only.
That is not in the USCIS memo.
Right. So that would mean if you were doing a change of status only, then
it wouldn't apply to you.
Right. So if you're an OPT, you get picked in the lottery, then you file for a change of status, then you don't pay the fee until you actually leave the country to get a visa. Is that the way you would read that?
Well, I would read that as if you're in the United States, you're fine. You never have to pay the fee, even if you're changing status.
But why would USCIS ever collect the fee if it's possible that somebody would never leave and would never be applicable to them? It seemed like DOS should be the only ones that would ever collect the fee, or CBP upon re-entry, if you're Canadian, for example. That doesn't make a lot of sense. All right, CBP will continue to process current H-1B visa holders in accordance with all existing policies and procedures. Aliens found inadmissible should be processed in alignment with existing policies. So everything about don't post anything on social media that you don't want Donald Trump to personally get offended over probably still applies.
So these are all great questions. And the bottom line is the agencies aren't consistent with what they're saying. We haven't seen Department of State's memo on it. I'm sure it'll be completely different. And the litigation will proceed.
Yeah.
and until the stupidity stops.
All right. And like I said, and as we've been emphasizing over and over again, we need your help to get the right group of plaintiffs so that we can make sure that we present the best case to the judge,
Yes.
whichever judge that's going to be. So thank you. And so many of you have reached out in the last 24 hours helping us with this. And we are very grateful. Chuck, I think this breaks our record again for the most people we've ever had on a live stream. Looks like there's about 5,000 people here. So anyway, all right, everybody, hopefully a lot of people are going to have a better Saturday night than they otherwise were going to have. And we will keep you guys informed about everything that's happening. So thank you. And have a good night.